What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk to you about Ethereum Classic. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, ETC is up 2.65% over the last 24 hours. It did have a high of 34.03. So it is showing signs that it does want to move up. So generally a good thing. One thing that is rather abnormal though is the volume. So 16.94 million over the last 24 hours, which is good comparing to what it once was. Night and day difference. But like in the past, when ETC has seen significant moves higher, it's roughly around that 19 to 20 million or in excess of that. So that's kind of odd, but aside from that though, it is still outperforming Bitcoin. So historically, this is where you do see at least a foundation laid for it to have a squeeze. ETC is very prone to that. So again, that could really work in its favor. Over the last 1 month, Bitcoin up 34.43, ETC is up 68.34. It's not just ETC, there's plenty of other coins that is outperforming Bitcoin. And so essentially this is where you're seeing a lot of people just saying this is alt season. And so again, Santa rally leading into the next several weeks, you could see a continued push higher for a lot of these alts, whereas Bitcoin's kind of suppressed by that psychological 100,000. So it's just rotation of money, right? There's always a rotation within kind of just markets. So money market, the equities, and then crypto, and even within crypto, it's just risk tolerances right now. But at the time of doing this video, the fear and greed index is under the extreme greed category, so which is 84, so meaning people's appetite for risk is on the table. So this is why you're probably seeing those rotations into altcoins. So I'm going to go over that a little bit more, but it's been a while since I've actually brought this up because I always like to analyze kind of merchants accepting ETC as a form of payment. Nice chart, constant chart. But generally, in November, there is 1,151 merchants accepting ETC as a form of payment. So that's what I like to look at, and it shows growth, right? And just in November alone, it did go up 10. So pretty good stuff in that regard. And then just to look at liquidations, you've seen just longs maybe finally realize that ETC is ready to move higher. They've kind of limited their selling. So that's obviously helping the price go higher, even though the volume is rather low. So short's been primarily the ones that are liquidating. So for instance, on the 26th, there was 1.06 million. There was 779,000 on the 27th. But that day you had a little bit more of a pullback because at the same time, longs were closing out the position. And so yeah, ETC very heavily shorted, as you can kind of see right there, and that isn't resemblant based on a lot of other coins. At the time of doing this video, I think it just popped off, but ETC oddly was trending on 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏. So I don't know if that's something symbolic for a good thing, bad thing, for those of you that like 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏. But aside from that, ETC is ranked number 29 based on market cap. So it did move up one since my last video. And generally it moved up one, even though it's somewhat lagging over the last 1 hour. But next target, it's just most likely going to kind of move to that 28. So over the last 1 day, it is outperforming, for instance, Chronos. And yeah, it looks like it's just going to be most likely later today. This is where it'll move up higher. But ETC is finally getting, I think, good attention. And yeah, generally longs aren't closing out the position, and probably that is aiding in why it is rather low volume. So let me know your thoughts on that. As far as this, so with it at 32.84, it is trading between these 2 points, so this R3 and this R2. For those of you that have been following my channel ever since it was roughly 24 or even a little bit lower, I think, like around like the $20 range, 21, I was saying next target $35. $35 is where I realistically see it heading to, and that's before it got all this popular kind of volume and stuff like that. So right now 32.45 will be a strong support that you'll want to watch for ETC to hold. Flip side, next target, even though it did bounce off of that 34 range, $35 is going to be that next strong target. So like I've been saying, I think ETC is ready to move higher, and once and if it is able to get above this 35, this is where you could see some pretty parabolic moves higher. But what do I know, right? My crystal ball is sometimes wrong. You do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But when it comes down to it, technicals are one of the biggest driving factors for a lot of coins. And yeah, ETC's technicals are looking very, very good. So I do have the ALMA 50, 100, 200-day moving average, super trend, stochastic RSI, and as well I'm looking at the 1 day. So I always like to look at everything. For instance, the 1 week, 1 day, everything feeds into one another. And prior to this week, it was struggling with that 200-day moving average, as you can kind of see right there. It did have spikes higher, but always did get suppressed to that 200-day moving average up until now. So this is where it is finally ready to break out. And kind of just historically looking back in March, it did have highs of $39. So aside from that 35, obviously 39 would be the next kind of point to watch for. And then above that, then this is where it could really go up significantly higher as what we've seen in the past. So $50, $52, and then most likely 60s would be the next kind of points to watch for. But aside from that, looking at the 1 day, this is where you're seeing a lot of that good kind of breakout strength. So it is above the ALMA right now, above all the key data points that I like to look at. Like I said, 50, 100, and 200. 4 hour, this is where you're seeing minor consolidation, but still generally this is where you're seeing a lot of that good strength. So even though, like I said, you're not getting that crazy of volume, the technicals I think are one of the points that's really propelling it higher. And just the whole longs finally realizing that ETC might actually move up higher, so it's better to hold and not just to swing trade, because every time that does happen, it just really dampens and adds a lot of selling pressure, unnecessary selling pressure. So the technicals, in my opinion, are looking a-okay. Just kind of take note of some of the strong support and resistance points. But I think just bigger picture, there is going to be that alt season rotation, so ETC will start to get more and more volume. But that's just my opinion. You do whatever floats your boat. So let me know your thoughts. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing? And then one final thing I just wanted to share with you though, I did launch a Patreon where I'm giving buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto, many of which have been home run hits. So definitely pop over there to take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.